Good afternoon, everyone. Today, we will discuss who must file versus who should file. This will be a common question that you'll get from different clients and people you meet on the street. Now, to decide whether someone must file a tax return, you need to know several things: their filing status, their age, income, if they can be claimed as a dependent on someone else's tax return, if they're blind, if they've received advance earned income credit, if any special taxes might be owed on different types of income, and if some of the income is excludable or tax exempt. Now, whether the taxpayer owes or not, the individuals must file a tax return whenever the table shows they must file. For a minor who is unable to file, the child's parent or guardian must complete and sign a return for the child. Now, let's start looking at the table. As you can see, if your client is single, under the age of 65 or older, they must file a tax return in the exhibited situations. Income grossing $9,350, 65 and older, $10,750. If your client is living together with their spouse at the end of 2010 and they're filing jointly, and both spouses are under 65, $18,700 is their threshold where they must file. One spouse 65 or older, $19,800. Both spouses 65 or older, $20,900. Married living together at the end of 2010 and filing separately, any age. Income threshold $3,650. Married and living apart at the end of 2010, any age. And again, the threshold income $3,650. For your clients who are head of house, under 65, $12,050 is the threshold where they must file. Head of household 65 and older, $13,450 is that threshold. A qualifying widower with a dependent child, under 65, $15,050. The same qualifying widower, 65 or older, $16,150 is the threshold. Now, anyone 65 or older, even born in 1946, same rules apply. Now let's move on to dependents who must or should file a tax return. Now, dependents who must file a tax return include married dependent with at least $5 of income whose spouse itemizes deductions on a separate form 1040. You may remember this from a previous section. A dependent with at least $400 of net self-employment income. However, dependents who are not required to file should file to claim a return. This is to get a refund of withheld taxes or to claim the earned income credit. For clients 65 or older and blind, you want to make sure you check the appropriate box, but know that your software will do it for you, but it's always good to know. Now again, other conditions where a taxpayer is to file a return or when they have special taxes, have received earned income credit in advance, have self-employment at a certain amount, income from certain church organizations. Now, let's highlight the 4 conditions where a tax return must be filed, when the taxpayer again owes special taxes, and they are listed below. Next, when the taxpayer receives that advance earned income credit, and notice, the amount should be shown in box 9 on the Form W-2. Sometimes your clients won't realize that that's what they're receiving, so it's your job to check. And again, it's in box 9 on their W-2. Third circumstance is when the taxpayer had net earnings from self-employment, their Schedule C, of at least $400. Fourth circumstance, the taxpayer, your client, had wages of $108 or more from a church or qualified church-controlled organization that is exempt from employer, Social Security, and Medicare taxes. Now, who should file? Clients with a refund of withheld taxes, clients who are eligible to claim earned income credit, clients who can claim additional child tax credit, typically ahead of household filing status, a client with a credit for federal telephone excise tax paid, a client with health coverage tax credit. Now I'd like to move on to which forms to use. Now, keep in mind that your software will do the work for you, but again, it's always good to know your material. Let's start with the 1040EZ. It is the simplest tax form. It's one page, and it's designed for single and joint filers with no dependents. It shows some of the similar things as a typical 1040, but the form's only worksheet is for figuring the standard deduction for individuals who can be claimed as a dependent on another taxpayer's return. Then 1040A. This is a two-page form, like the standard 1040. You'll note that page 1 will show the filing status, exemptions, income, and AGI, adjusted gross income. Page 2 will show standard deduction, exemption amount, taxable income, tax, credits, payments, amount owed, or refund, along with the signature. Note that the 1040A may be filed up to 4 schedules. Schedule 1 to report interest or dividend income. Schedule 2 to report child and dependent care expenses. Schedule 3 to claim the credit for elderly or disabled. And Schedule EIC, earned income credit, to provide information about a child that qualifies the taxpayer for earned income credit. Now, let's move on to the standard Form 1040. This is also a two-page form that contains all the entries from 1040A, plus entries for more types of income, itemized deductions, and other taxes.